And I'm going to call the meeting to order. And going to add to the agenda the actually it's there.
Facilities.
I'm sorry.
Facilities.
Facilities, we're going to add to the agenda the facilities report because the facilities committee did meet. So we'll make that G. And where do we? And in the budget discussion.
In the budget discussion,
Chuck is going to signs that he's been working on.
and budget discussion's already on the agenda.
Right.
So we don't need to add anything.
Not really.
I don't think so.
I'm just informed. That's where we're putting it. Okay.
You need a motion.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
So moved.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Now we have some minutes to approve. So the April 18th meeting. A motion to approve those minutes.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
April 3rd.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Sorry. I'm do my best.
You're doing great.
Okay, April 30th minutes.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I guess I should ask too. May 7th meeting.
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
And I'm sorry, I haven't yet recognized your voices without looking.
Oh.
Is that up?
It was, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Student reports.
First thing I want to talk about is the AP exams. So the AP exams finished up this week, and a lot of students who took AP courses are very relieved that the exams are over, as they worked very hard throughout the year to complete the class and to get prepared for the exam. Prom is this Saturday, and the theme is Northern Lights. Tickets were sold in early May, and prom committee has spent a lot of time getting everything together since the beginning of the school year. As of right now, there are about 90 students, which is really good, and our prom is at Fox Run in Ludlow. And prom committee members are going tomorrow in the morning to set up. And we're really excited as we put a lot of effort into this prom. And also the Grand March is at 7 o'clock on Saturday. The YES program starts June 4th, and many students are excited for classes to be over and to pursue activities that they chose. The POPs concert will happen on the 21st of May in the auditorium, and the art show will be happening in the gallery the same night. It's a celebration of the arts program here at Green Mountain, and students are working hard to finish up projects and practicing their songs to give the best performance they possibly can. The French travel cohort will leave from school on May 25th around noon. They spend 8 days abroad, and they return the 4th of June around 5 or 6. And then a lot of fundraising and time has been dedicated to the trip, and students are really excited to finally get to do the traveling part. And then graduation is the 14th, which is also the last day of school, and that will be at 7 o'clock. And NHS juniors will be handing out pamphlets at graduation, and many seniors are sad that they're leaving, but they're really excited for what the future holds for them.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Good job.
Yeah.
Lexi, did you guys do the Northern Lights theme before the Northern Lights?
Yes,
You had?
yeah. We think
That's
it's
awesome.
That is perfect.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
We
love
picked
that.
at the beginning of the school year. I don't know why, but we were excited about it.
Somebody had some sort
Yeah,
of.
seriously.
We knew.
It's awesome.
Those
I love it.
bonus.
You can probably have real pictures.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you, Liz.
Thanks.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Lois,
Yes,
do we have, how many students from AP programs?
Oh,
Testing?
that I don't know. That's a question for Mr.
Look
Broadley.
at towards
I have that answer, it was in my report.
Okay.
I've got,
I can wait that. if you have it.
40, some kids took more than one, but there were 47 exams taken, 47 AP exams taken, which is phenomenal.
Great.
Thank you. Anything else?
And start by repeating a couple of things that Lexi just said. There for 4 weeks of school, which is astounding to me. And Lexi has spoken a little bit about it. Our principals will too. There are preparations and celebrations happening in all of our schools. Somebody's very happy about that. Green Mountain's graduation going to be on Friday, the 14th. We're having our last during school time in service day. Will happen on Tuesday, May 28th, which is the day after Memorial Day. And then the end of the year, we have teacher in service on both June 14th and 17th for the elementary school teachers, and on June 17th and 18th for middle and high school. The last day of school for our elementary schools for students is the 13th, not the 14th, because we had an extra day off because of a power outage here during that one storm that didn't affect the elementary schools. So we're on a slightly staggered schedule. Central office, we are being consumed with preparing for the next budget vote. That vote will happen. We're going to talk about that a little later too, June 4th, the week after Memorial Day. We'll have the information meeting about the budget on Thursday, May 30th at 6 o'clock here at GM and on Zoom. And we'll talk a little bit more about the budget and our communication efforts a little bit later. The administrator's goal setting workshop that we do every summer has been scheduled for July 29th to August 1st. Emma, our incoming curriculum director, Julie Para, incoming technology director and current K-12 math coordinator, have begun discussing the agenda for that meeting with our principals and with Lane Millington. That will happen here in this location. The date for our all board meeting, which is our retreat, we try to call it goal setting, so people don't think we're having a spa day, has been set for July 12th. I confirmed with Debbie Singheiser of the VSBA, who was our facilitator last year, that she will be our facilitator again this year. Jackson Gore and Okemo are unable to accommodate us. They do not have room on that day. They've got a big core group that's taking up the whole space. They wanted to know if our dates were flexible and we could come maybe the following week. And that answer from our scheduling is no. So we put forward a couple of possibilities. I think we will probably wind up here unless somebody has other suggestions. We have some more central locations within the school, but without air conditioning, and it will be the middle of July. So we will likely be here unless someone has some suggestions. If you do, send me an email and we can look into it. I've said already, all of our teachers have signed and returned their contracts or notified us that they're not returning. Our open positions have all been posted, and we'll be seeking approval of 3 new hires a little bit later tonight. We will have one position that we are still looking to fill, but otherwise we're doing really well. And I've talked about this before, but we'll remind everybody that some of our surrounding districts have ongoing positions that for years they have had open and are unable to fill. Some of them 5, 6, 7 positions, particularly in special education. And we have managed to fill our positions without having to have people try to either do without or double up. The last thing, the state Senate voted not to approve Zoe Saunders as the Vermont Secretary of Education. Primary reason for the no votes was her lack of experience working in public schools. She's never been a teacher, principal, or superintendent. When the Senate did not approve her appointment, Governor Scott appointed her interim Secretary of Education, a position which does not require approval from legislators. There's certainly going to be continued discussion around that. But for now, Zoe Saunders is the Agency of Education. She's our Secretary of Education for the state. And Heather Boucher, who was the interim for most of the year, has returned to the position of deputy that she had occupied for a while. And I imagine there'll be more discussion around that from our legislators. At the VSBA, I reported about some ongoing webinars and things that they have had. Their last new board member academy webinar for this season happened last night, and they will undoubtedly have some more things that are posted for our new board members. If you haven't already received information from them, let me know and I'll make sure that you do. They will mail you a hard copy of that essential work of the boards. So if you don't see that, you can let them know or let me know. We'll make sure that you get it.
Principal reports. Is there a board?
Whoever wants to
Who would like
jump
to
up
start?
first.
Okay, you wanna go?
You go first.
I don't mind.
You show me the rope.
I don't definitely don't. It seems a while since we've done one of these reports because of the SIP and budget stuff. It was really good to sit down and just take a moment to funnel through. So we'll hit the high notes, and Lexi's already covered some of them. Our Vermont state testing was done throughout April, and that was for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th grades. Our participation rate was very good this year. We had the following participation rates. 7th grade ELA was 94%. 7th grade math was 91%. 8th grade ELA 96%. 8th grade math 96%. Grade 9 science 92%. Grade 9 ELA 98%. Grade 9 math 95%. And grade 11 science, which usually historically throughout the state from memory is about 70%. We had 90%. So the results should be out by the end of July. I know it's only one measurement of how successful a school is, but some people put a lot of their eggs into that basket. So I feel we did everything very well this year that we could do as in everything that we control. Again, the only thing is what was in there in our student heads. But they had a great attitude. People, the kids and staff were supportive of each other. Kids looked fairly well rested. Computers were charged. So I'm hopeful that we'll be nudging up, even though it's, as I say, it's one measurement of how good we are. Middle school trip to DC. Way back when I first started, the two ladies that organized it had said, "Oh yeah, you'll go on that, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sign me up for everything." And it was one of the best experiences I've had in my life going with our 7th and 8th grades. We had a great time. We had a lot of adversity to start. We missed the first day because we had that 8 inches of snow that didn't let us go. We left on the Friday morning, drove down. When we got on the New Jersey Turnpike, our bus broke down. And they sent us another one. We rode about 4 buses to get down to the cruise at night that we went on. But the kids, they didn't miss a beat. It didn't matter. We had the whole weekend there, 12 hours Saturday, 14 hours of Sunday. Visited everywhere and anywhere you could think of, from the Arlington Cemetery, all the monuments, all the monument itself. Kids were fantastic. And on the way back, we got up on the Monday. That's when we went to Arlington. We drove back. We stopped in the Maryland service station, and there was Miss Janinas out of her bag. She pulled out all the Eclipse sunglasses, and all the kids were like looking at 92% of the Eclipse from a trucking car park on the 95. But it was phenomenal. Hopefully, they'll never forget that experience. Our SAT and PSATs were all taken in grades 11 and 12 took SATs and PSAT were 10th grade. And the scores, though I thought they were coming out in July, they actually came out yesterday or the day before. So hopefully by our next meeting, I'll have a better collation of the results to present to you. The AP exams over the last 2 weeks, we had 47 students, or we had 47 exams taken. There were some students that took more than one. It was a small portion. And I think that's a great achievement for our school of 200 high schools. Number 5, news and world reports. I've always looked at this as one of the ways of measuring success of high schools, and just happened to look, and I got an email as well because I subscribed to it, and I thought, oh, okay, they're out. The results are out for 2024, for the spring of 2024, and good gracious, we're ranked 9th out of 56 high schools in the state of Vermont, based on the 6 factors. And again, please feel free to go on and look and dive a bit deeper. I could say only 9th, but that would be kind of a little bit cocky. I think we'll go higher. I'm sure we'll go higher, actually. And it was just, it made me feel really good, and we should be proud of that. French cohort trip. Lexi mentioned most of it. They're going on the 28th. Hopefully it'll be a great experience. They're all ready to go. I think the last passport was sort of confirmed yesterday or today. Year-end studies, the YES program that you may have heard about. It was new, I believe, last year. And again, coming in this year, I thought it looked like a phenomenal program, and it really is. So we're gonna do it again this year. It begins on June 4th. It's 8 days of a combination of students recovering and gaining proficiencies in courses that they maybe weren't successful. If they were and they're good to go, then and passing everything, and they get the advantage of earning what we call a golden ticket, and they don't need to come in until 9:30. So, and then we have 2 4-day sessions of enrichment for kids, everything from archery, canoeing, fishing, hiking, climbing. There's a multitude of programs that our kids have all signed up for. And then we're going to culminate that on the 14th day of graduation. It's an early release day. We're going to have presentations by all the groups, and then have a barbecue and send the kids off for the summer. So, the prom and the middle school semi-formal. Got a busy weekend. Middle school semi-formal tomorrow night. Anyone's welcome if you'd like to come along. I'd love to see anyone there. And then on Saturday, the prom at the Fox Run at 7 o'clock. The Grand March is right away. Again, right into the proceedings. And then graduation and awards. Awards night is June 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Love to see as many board members there as possible. It's always good for the kids to see you guys there as well if you're available. And then, of course, graduation on June 14th at 7 p.m. Weather's looking good so far, although it's a long way away, and it's right outside there. Lastly, this just in, our senior trip is going to Lake George, and I spoke to our superintendent on this a while ago. We used to have the board actually vote on apparently the ability for students to take these trips. It was more of make sure we get all our forms out and we get everything done properly. However, it's important that we keep the board abreast of what we're doing. So the senior trip, June 10th, the kids are going zip lining and on an adventure course, a bit of shopping, followed by a sunset cruise. Then their plan is to stay over and then get up the next morning and go whitewater rafting and then return to GM in the afternoon. So that's what I have.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
It's why permission slips happen.
Waivers. So we have, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nicola. I'm the assistant principal at Chester and Miller. I know I'm not always at these meetings, but I am Joey Blaine's other half. So we had arts night last night, which was super successful. We had a cohort of 3rd grade students who did a jump roping routine. And then we also had our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade band perform 5 songs, which for a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade band They were all wonderful. You could understand all of the different instruments, and everyone was getting all the noises out of all of them, which is very impressive. And also, big shout out to Mallory Kubaris, who's our music teacher. We also had our 5th and 6th grade chorus, who did a wonderful job, and then as well as the art that all of the children K through 6 who've been doing their art throughout the year, got to show off all their fun stuff. So the little kids got to come show their art and then leave for the performance because they didn't want to necessarily stick around for that because it was hot and we did have to have it in the gym. It's usually outside, but due to rain, we were unable to do that. We also had a parent engagement night about a month ago. We invited our incoming kindergarten parents to come to this event as well. We offered childcare for our K to 6. So parents could engage in some of the presentations around some of the systems and some of the curriculums that we're implementing at the school. It was very successful. We actually had about 10 incoming kindergarten parents come with both of their incoming kindergartners and some of their smaller kids, which was also awesome to see. We have 86 5th and 6th graders going to Q8 next week, which will make our school hallways a little bit quieter. They are really excited to go. It's the biggest group we've sent in over 15 years. So we're excited to hear back from them, all the awesome opportunities that are provided at Q8. Most of them are a little bit nervous about staying away for a week, but we've encouraged pretty much about 98% of the students to attend, which was really cool. We are finishing up our last spring MAPS assessments, so we're hoping that those assessments will be completed by the end of May, so we'll be able to continue to review the data from those and continue to improve our systems in supporting students at both K, well, not both, all the way K through 6, and making sure that we're providing them the supports they need. And I think lastly, we are now introducing Smoothie Tuesdays, which Andy Levesque has been stopping by and whipping up some fruit smoothies. He served over 200 fruit smoothies. And even my kids who refuse to eat vegetables and fruit were all enjoying those and really excited, and gave him quite a few suggestions on some of the new smoothies they would like to enjoy on Tuesday. Does anyone have any questions?
Dale?
Very important to make your handouts. How many handouts for you? Because I have visuals. Our 5th and 6th graders are at Q8 right now, and it's very quiet at Cavendish. This morning, our K1-2 went had a play they went to, so there was nobody in the building for like an hour. About 2 hours this morning. There was nobody in the building. It was very quiet. But I was at principal's meeting, so I didn't get to enjoy that time. In fact, it's been really quiet. Literally, it was very quiet. So my report. We've been celebrating a lot of staff members. We celebrate our Librarian Appreciation Day, and our bus driver Jerry. He came around the corner, and all the kids were sitting out there cheering for him. He got a card, and we really do appreciate Jerry and all that he does. And I really feel like if you appreciate these folks, they'll stick around for a while. And that's what we want them to do. He was really excited. He got all the kids together and got a big picture in front of us. So really made it was a special day for him. And then Miss Hamilton in the office, we appreciated her, and also teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week, and our school nurse signing you on Nurse Appreciation Days. A lot of appreciation going on this past month. And the kids were involved, and the PTG really helped out. So it was really a community event. We really teachers, everyone, the staff really appreciates. We really felt appreciated. Staffing updates tonight. Hopefully, you'll approve one of my hires that we're recommending to hire for our grade 1-2 position, and Nancy McNally, our special education teacher, she's relocating closer to home, so she's leaving and not returning. And Ashley Arvidsson, our long-term teacher in 4th grade, will be going back to South Carolina. She got a job at the school that she's student taught, and we're excited for her. So we really appreciate Ashley coming in and filling in since January. She's done an excellent job, and everything's continued in 3rd and 4th grade without and Robin left, and just kept on. We're excited about our salad bar, which Black River Good Neighbor donated to our school. Kids have been using it. About 30 to 60% of our kids get salad every day. So they're really enjoying it and eating salad. It's kind of surprised me, but kids like salad. I'm proud of it. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th graders did really well during testing. They really did work hard. And I was really proud of them. So were their teachers. The teachers really prepared them for the test. And they really just were focused and did a very nice job. So really proud of the kids. their state tests are difficult and challenging, and they really did focus and did a really nice job. Some of our students' artwork was displayed at the Southern Vermont Art Center. Julie Kelly does a wonderful job. Took students' artwork down and they were on display at that art center, which was really special for the kids. Speaking of Julie Kelly, she I got her hooked on donors choose, and she's raised $3,323 to fund several things in her classroom, gym mats, volleyball net holders, and she also got her lifeguard certification through donors choose. So she's been really using that as a resource. I'll put her link to her school page if you want to go check out all the things that's happening on her page. She's doing a lot of great things there, just raising money for the PE department. Our Memorial Day celebration is coming up, and this is my first one. Everything's the first time at Cavendish. It's my first time doing everything. So as we go through it, but we're planning for that. The kids marching the parade. We're hoping Green Mountain Band will join us and on that day of the parade. And we're planning, the kids will be singing, it'll be a huge part of the program at the very, very beginning. Public's welcome to attend on that day. And some other events coming up. Oh, we have our spring concert the night of voting. That was a good idea, maybe to get the parents out to go to the spring concert. They're having a barbecue, and plus there's the voting right at the fire hall. So lots of things happening there. Hopefully we'll get the parents over in a good mood. Their stomachs full of vote. And
Good thoughts.
Smart, yeah, I like that.
and then Lake Day at Clement Park. See the kids get there all day and enjoy this toward the end of the year. And also our 6th grade celebration is on June 11th at On the Green, which is there in Proctorsville. And it's from 6 to 7:20. And then the bear at the bottom, the bear that we caught on security, I think he was trying to recycle. He's in the recycling bin. But my custodian brought that in and showed that to me. I was like, oh, I'm new to this area. So I was like very amazed. Like, okay, I'm used to raccoons, but not bears. So I wanted to include that picture just for that we had a visitor on Cavendish's property. So, so Margaret.
Great, thank you, Deb.
So.
Yeah, so just for everyone's benefit, including the new board members, the curriculum report typically is a written report to the TRSU that Emma and I jointly write, and presentations at both LMH and this board. We haven't been doing that because of the continuous improvement plan time that's been using this agenda item. So what we did this month to transition into it, the written report that was prepared for TRSU is linked into your agenda. We are not doing presentation this month, but we will resume them next month. We also went back to our normal format, which is for both literacy and math. The first part of the presentation focuses on a learning topic that applies to a particular grade level. The second part shares some data about how things are going in the system relative to that learning topic. And the third section is about things that are happening that are helping to continue to improve that learning. And we're really working hard to make sure that when we're talking about those things, we're connecting them to the SIP goals that you all approved in the past couple of months. So if you've read the report already and you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but it is linked into the agenda. And if you have questions later, you can reach out to either one of us.
I don't see it on the agenda, linked into the agenda. I see the financial report linked in.
It's not linked in?
I'm not seeing it. And I didn't see it when I reviewed stuff. I only see the financial report.
Nope, there is no link there, so we'll get it. It's also on the TRC website.
Okay.
If you're on the homepage, it says curriculum instruction and assessment report. It should be linked to the agenda.
Okay, I can get it. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing it out. We'll make sure we get it fixed for next
I love when things are linked into the agenda. It's so easy.
And you don't have to go to the website.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
So I don't have a lot, tonight. All our schools are in good shape, nothing for us to get real worried about yet. We had the facilities committee meeting, it seemed like it was yesterday, and they were concerned about the main valve in the boiler room. So I do have one of our vendors coming to take a look at that. I thought he would be here actually today. I think he's coming tomorrow. If not tomorrow, he'll be here Monday. So he'll take a look at that and get me a price on that valve. I'd like to give you a better PCB update, but we got held up a little bit here on our filter change because the state has now decided that they have some money, but they don't know who it belongs to. That's the short of it. They're trying to move it from one pocket to another, and I didn't like that answer, so I called the agency of education, and they guaranteed me there's money, so we should be hearing something better about that next week. I did forward the fire marshal's service report to Adrian. So if you want to talk about that, it's pretty straightforward. I did meet with Banwell, an independent contractor at EEI, about putting the bid documents together. It's fairly extensive, so I talked to them yesterday and he said 5 to 6 weeks. We should be seeing those. I emailed the fire marshals to make sure that they're very well informed, so they're not upset. They're thinking we're not moving on that. They were perfectly fine with that. As long as they know we're moving in a direction. So, and I know Kate's gonna ask me if I have any idea yet about how much money.
No, I'm not. I learned.
Well, I wish I could, Kate, but I don't. Chester Andover, Keith has his 3 prices for the driveway extension, and it won't come across your desk. We're gonna do that through his budget if our budget's passed. We will not be doing any extensive projects at any of our schools until our budget's passed. We will be doing what we have to do to maintain our buildings, but we won't be doing anything above and beyond. Cheryl's gonna talk about a FEMA update, and we do have the schedule for the egress windows, which we'd already told them that we needed to go ahead and do that before we had all these budgetary issues, and that was the last of meeting the code for that school for our egress windows. I met today with Arcom, our camera vendor at Cavendish. With some really good news. It has Cat 5e cable in there. Talked to Keith. We thought it was all going to be changed to Cat 6. It does not. So there was a savings of money there. Again, this is another project that won't get done until the budget passes or we use our business safety grant next year. I got him giving us a price on indoor cameras there. And really good news is we can save the outside cameras. So Arcom can incorporate the outside cameras that are already there and we can add some to the inside. So that will bring that school up to where the rest of the schools are in the supervisory union with camera and safety systems. And again, we're still waiting on budgets for the painting and the fixing this office at Cavendish. I usually don't do this, but there's been a lot going on. I want to just give you some athletic updates. I don't know if anybody here has been to any track meets here. A track meet is a huge undertaking. We've held 2 of them here in the past month, a high school meet and a middle school meet. It takes a lot of people to make 200 people. I didn't go around and count them, but when the outside of the fences and the whole hillside and the parking lots and down the road are covered, there's a lot of people at our schools. We're very well represented. The kids have a good time and our track meets run extremely well. I wish I could take credit for them. I'm there to help, but it's our track coaches that do that, Miss Hutchins and Mrs. Hamilton, and they do a great job at that. Baseball team is at the top of their division in the C division, so that's been a while coming. There's a very young team. I watched them play the other day and the whole infield was all freshmen. And they beat the second place team in the league. And they did it fairly handily. And their first base, second base, shortstop, third base, all freshmen. So pretty impressive. This was kind of cool. And I guess it's nice for everybody to hear. Seems like we hear a lot of negative stuff about all schools in general in the whole country. I went to watch our girls from Green Mountain that are playing at Springfield because we couldn't field the softball team. And a gentleman came up and just gave us the biggest compliment. He said, I like our team. I like it a lot better with the girls from Green Mountain on it. And not because they're really good softball players. And this was his words, not mine. They're just nice people. So huge compliment for our community. Middle school baseball and softball is going really well, full schedule. We've been with the weather, it's been a little sketchy, but other schools have been good about making stuff up. And this is actually pretty nice too. Twice a week, Brian Rapinati, now our girls varsity basketball coach, and Pete Peck, the girls varsity basketball coach at Springfield, have around 100 kids in between Springfield, Chester, Andover, Cavendish. Not sure there's much kids from Bellows Falls. They're the local kids here twice a week from grades 1, 2, all the way to high school in our gym here. So we opened our gym up, and so he's got a great youth program going, and your school is getting utilized even for the youth of our community. So some cool stuff going on. It's good to report stuff like this where we're not all hanging our heads wondering.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Is that a new nameplate? You always have.
Something surprised even for me today.
It suits you. I like it.
Why is it bigger than everyone else?
Yeah, that's
Well, not mine doing.
Thanks, Tom.
Financial report. Look at this one.
Oh.
It's her voice back.
Okay, so I got a bunch of sites, so you're probably gonna say, Cheryl, stop. All right, financial, the financial in the folders through April, we're at about 72% at the end of April, and I look right now, we're about 80% with 6 weeks to go. That's good. Our big expenses, the teacher pay, the summer pay, because it's for summer pay. So I think we're looking good there. We're a little less on the tuition than what we had anticipated, but we have the allowable tuition from prior year that we got. It was like 67,000, something like that. So that was, offsets that a little bit. Interest rates doing good. I budgeted 1,000. We're at 26,000, so we'll keep that going. Subs, we're over by 41,000 on subs, but we're under on paraeducators, because sometimes if we can't find a paraeducator, we hire subs in those positions, and so it skews that a little bit. And I talked to Andy today, and the freezer at Chester Andover, the compressor's not working. He's trying to write a grant, because it's about a $4,000 repair. So he's trying to write an equipment grant. If we can't get the grant, we'll probably be coming back. Right now, I guess the food went to the Ludlow Community Center freezer, because they had space. They whittled it down. Now the rest of it's at Green Mountain, but going into next year, we're gonna need the freezer for the space for all of that. So hopefully we can get the grant, and need to use capital money on that. Any questions on the financial?
A couple of people online who would like you to know that it's nice to hear your voice.
Yes.
In preparation of the budget passing, because it will pass on June 4th, June I'll be coming with a tax anticipation note, and it's a line of credit that we get to bridge the time of the tax money coming in to us from the towns and state, and so we're able to pay our bills. The budget doesn't pass, it's a different conversation, but we're going to go with, I'm going to be bringing you a tax anticipation note for approval on your June meeting. Insurance, I was at Zasbo last Friday. We have travelers insurance, which covers our flood insurance, and Chester Andover, as we all know, is in a floodway. And travelers, because we've had 2 100-year floods in 12 years, they have a little problem with the coverage of it, so they lower the coverage. And so Visbit, who is where it's a self-insured plan, has gone out to the National Flood Insurance to get some additional insurance. So that would kick in first, and then travelers. So likely, because of that, our property insurance will go up a little bit. It's not going up terribly, but then they take experience in your claims consideration. So we'll see that. So FEMA, rolling back into the flood here. We've had many meetings with FEMA over the last 10 months, I guess it is now. Todd and I were on a meeting last week with some, I'm not sure where they're out of. They all had Southern accents, and when you come in from Zoom, you're not sure where they're coming from. I'm not sure if they were in Vermont, because what happens when there's a crisis, they take people where they need to go. So these people had some congressional delegate somewhere along the way put us on their radar, which is good, because it kind of brings attention to us and we can move forward with it. So we're also working with Guidehouse, who are FEMA experts, but they're hired by the Agency of Education to work on our behalf. So they're helping us kind of work our way through this process. And it is a process. Education has a lot of acronyms. FEMA has a lot of acronyms. And just trying to get into their portal, and, they talk like they, what they're talking about. So we're to a point where actually our first payment is in process now to get back, and everything's into a category. And so they have to put the project like that. So the White House was damaged. It's not going to be repaired. Insurance company gave us $17,000 to repair it, but that's not going to do it. So in the FEMA process, we have to first show what it would cost to replace it and bring it up to code. So it's currently in a floodway. And so code says it can no longer be there. So it has to be moved out of there. It also has to come to the current local zoning, and it has to become ADA, which there was some criteria in that.
And I'm gonna stop you just with, we have to tell them what it would cost to replace it on our property, even if that's not what we intended to do.
Right.
In order to have them provide us with the reimbursement for whatever it is we want to do, we start with telling them, if we were to just replace it,
Right.
what would that cost?
Yes. So that involves a lot, and that's a cost that we want to see as high as we can, is what we would like to do. And this is where this conversation is coming in, is to do an improved project. So instead of it being a separate building, we would potentially do an addition to it. FEMA is a reimbursement organization, meaning you don't get any money until you do. So there's a lot of hoops to go through. There's a lot of unknowns until we get to a certain point. Right now, the federal reimbursement is 75%. There's a state reimbursement. I've heard it's all the way up to 100, but I'm not going to believe that until I have that in my hand, which we should know soon because the other reimbursement is a smaller one. So I guess my question for the board is to get a sense of, is that a path that we want to consider? Because it's a lot of work to get there, and if there's like no way that an addition of any kind, and that's the addition and what it actually entails is not part of the conversation right now. It's just the district will have to put additional monies because a modular home to a brick and mortar is a different cost. But you will have a substantial portion of it with the FEMA reimbursement. So I'm just looking to see if there is a consensus thought.
Is there anywhere on the property the modular can go?
So
Adrian has her hand up.
Adrian?
Okay, so it's kind of, as you've been talking, it's now like a three-part question. The first one, I heard you say that Chester, the insurance needs to go up for Chester. Does Cavendish not need to? I think that, the town itself has experienced flooding. Is that not an
They're
issue?
not plain, so no.
Okay. What was the percentage that the insurance was going to go up?
I don't have it with me, but it was like 2.6%, but then your experience comes in with it, which is all the claims that you've had.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure what it's going to be. Previously, they had said 10, then they came back down.
Then they what?
Then they came back down to a lower percentage.
Okay. And then the third part, just in regards to the question you just asked, I think that from my opinion is that the discussion about whether there would be an addition or not, I think might lie more in the restructuring side of things as we kind of decide what we're going to be doing with the classes and that sort of thing. I think that might play into the answer there. If we're going to be moving kids or redistricting or changing things around, I don't know if talking about an addition on Chester right now would be wise. That's all I have.
I understand that.
I agree.
Jeff, and then Scott has his hand up on mine too.
Jeff?
Oh, I didn't know, is there anywhere on the property that's not in the flood zone?
Yes.
So we could put a pad down and, in theory, put a modular on.
In theory.
Okay.
It's not necessarily
Some of it ends up
Place
on
to
that
put it.
field.
Right in the soccer field?
Yeah.
No, that's not a good idea. Be a good goal.
Scott has his hand up on mine.
Scott?
I was just gonna agree with Adrian on putting it in the reconstruction end of things, discussion of that. Seeing where we go with it, and if it works out where we can restructure and not need it, then great. If we need it, then great too.
Sorry, may I ask, when do you need to have that kind of answer?
Meeting with FEMA tomorrow. So because some congressional person got involved, things are starting to move a little faster. We have like a till June 14th timeline to get all projects kind of in and situated. I think that part of my question is because this is a lot of work to like make this happen. So if yeah.
I think that.
Just trying to figure out what to do with this.
We've talked a little, and the basic question isn't that anybody should decide right now what you're going to do. The question is, if you all know that there is no way you would even consider putting any kind of an addition onto that building under any circumstances, then why jump through all of these hoops? If that is something that is, depending on how everybody talks about everything, and my assumption in our conversation is that you'll want to keep your options open and that you haven't made a decision already. But I don't know that until you all actually say that. Steve's got his hand up online, and then you've got people here.
Okay, Steve?
Hi. I agree with Adrian. I also think it's inappropriate to take this up right now. I think it's a really bad look. I think that we should be kind of in a hold mode on projects, and I don't want this to confuse the voters. That was my consideration.
Just a clarification, when you say possibility of 100%, is that 100% of the cost of replacing what we had, or 100% of what we want? What we had. Okay.
So just going further down, don't need a decision today. So what I'm trying to understand, when do we have to make a decision on, do we want to pursue this or not? Because I want to keep options open because we have some things up in the air. And if there's potential monies here to replace or improve, I also don't want to just let that go without, can we get a placeholder type proposal in there without committing anything to it?
Yeah, because it's a reimbursement model. So essentially we can go all the way through this and not do anything with it.
It's a lot of
But
work.
your thing is, it's a ton of work and you don't want to commit to that. I get it. I'm just trying to understand what are our options right now? What are we talking about?
You're not talking about doing anything. It's really, as they said, the question is, if you all already know that there's no universe in which you would do any of this, Cheryl and Todd won't spend hours setting up to find out what the total amount might be if we did something in the future. And my assumption is, for all of the reasons people have said, we're not going to talk about anything specific at this point, and that I would assume you want to keep your options open. But I don't know that until you say that.
Adrian?
I was just going to say, I think that keeping our options open is appropriate. I don't want to say that we won't. I just think that I don't think we can give a definitive answer. So if the question is it on the table from my standpoint? Yes.
I think we all agree with that.
Scott's got his hand up online too.
Scott?
I agree too. I think we should keep our options open.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing all of this.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, we've talked about it for a long time, but we really haven't, we've told you about it. We haven't really talked about it. So I just felt as we were moving forward that we really needed to put it out on the table.
Well, it's nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, seriously, listen to you talk for hours.
No. You don't want to go there.
Okay, so if there are no other questions?
I guess I got my hand up. Only question Cheryl, could you maybe zoom in for our reconstruction meeting with an update of what FEMA is saying? Or reach out to Adrian or Lois about it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
22nd. I think.
Can't do that
I
when we
don't
don't give an
know.
update.
I've got too many things.
I think it's 22nd.
Okay. Okay, so we're now to committee reports. I'll start. This month at RBTC, we had Gabe Vastola, who's the pre-tech teacher, do a presentation. I found this fascinating. It's the only program at RBTC for 9th and 10th graders. And the entire focus is career choices, and there are 16 career choices. And he works on employability skills and projects within the clusters. And it was just very interesting. And their final project was that each kid was building a skateboard.
Yes.
And they were really very nice looking. So we're still, at RVTC, we still have $100,000 surplus, which is good. We're 7 ahead. We've got 7 more students enrolled for next year than we did last year at this time. So this is all good news. There's still some tension between New Hampshire and Vermont in terms of the partnership that we've always had with Fall Mountain. So that affects the bottom line, and we'll have to see where that goes. Another bit of information that I found very interesting was that 53% of RBTC graduates go to post-secondary institutions. TRSU board.
So the TRSU board meeting was again predominantly the budgetary discussions. The TRSU approved the revised proposed budget of $10,707,666, which was an 11.68 increase over the last year. We discussed the broad TRSU goals and acknowledged that we had completed one of them by hiring our superintendent. There were a couple of policies that'll be coming down the pike in this meeting. The board adopted our code of ethics, which is the same code of ethics that this board abides by. There was a new hire. And I'm sorry, my notes, I'm in Virginia, so my notes are teeny tiny on a screen right now. There was a new hire. It was, I believe, the special ed educator for the Mount Holly School, and also for Ludlow. And also for Ludlow. And we discussed the July all board retreat, which the date has now been set as the 12th, and Lauren updated you on that. And that is what I have for notes for TRSU.
Thank you. Transportation.
Okay. So ultimately, we met, the facilities group met as a subcommittee for all of you, ultimately basically a state of the union for you to give you an idea of the areas that we really need to help Todd concentrate on for the whole board. It was a general consensus of the committee to ultimately kind of circle back and go back towards making sure that our budget that we've got now is going to pass before we take any action towards working on any other projects other than the critical functions that Todd really needs to work with all the facilities managers in all the different groups right now. So as a group, we'll be meeting the week right before the next GMUSD meeting. And that's trying to think of, so next meeting will be June 11th. Ultimately, items that we talked about, multiple different areas. Ultimately, Todd already talked about them, and we'll help support him in whatever way we can. That was our report. Thanks.
Legislative.
Okay.
Was there something from transportation? I'm sorry, that sounded like
It
facilities.
did sound like facilities.
I got transportation.
Not.
We had
Okay.
discussion. We had discussion during the same meeting as the facilities. Todd Para gave us the information. There was 7 buses. We have 7 buses in our fleet, 4.5 bus drivers. All the buses seem to be in good shape. Some are going to probably need tires at some point soon. And we had some discussion about maybe saving money on special education transportation by incorporating that into the GM buses. We talked possibly about getting rid of a bus and maybe buying a couple small vans to do special ed. Again, this is all just discussion. And everything seemed pretty good. We would like to invite Sue Willis to the next meeting so we could chat with her. She was not involved in the meeting. Todd was. And our next meeting is on June 11th. Thank you.
Okay, legislative.
Legislative. So, we have, our last week, pared down 3 bills in the legislature that we have kind of picked as probably the most pertinent to us. That's 887, 873, and 871. 887 is about education funding and tax rate. It's lengthy. It has been passed by the House and the Senate. It's awaiting the governor's signature. So we're kind of waiting and watching at this point we formed this committee right at the end of the legislative session. So we're still really in our infancy and building phases here to try to get ahead of the next legislative session and hopefully be in a better position to have some testimony influence, however that looks down the road. Bill 873 is about PCBs in schools and remediation testing costs. I think that might be with the personnel.
Moving some funds around from AOE, DEC, Department of Health, and they're just moving it around. Yeah, so there's money already there. They're just moving it from one place to the other, and they won't release any of it from in between one part.
So they weren't referring to that bill then. So there is potentially more money out there based on 873. And again, that's not been signed yet by the governor.
And my understanding, unless I've got the numbers wrong, was that the bill that had support from the House was being pushed to the Senate, and the Senate declined to pick it up, which basically means that it is dead until the next legislative session. The VSA has sent some strongly worded questions to the Senate leaders to ask, given what seemed like a great deal of support for the bill, why they didn't continue with it. So that's very recent.
So I have not checked it this week. It's good to know though, because we can track that next session if that continues forward. And then Bill 871 about school construction. Again, so potentially more monies. So those are the 3 we all kind of keyed in on collectively. We kind of coalesced around them independently, which is a good sign that we independently kind of picked the same issues. And in addition to that, we started to reach out to other local school boards. I've reached out to the Bellows Falls chair to try to open some dialogue. We've traded some emails to see if we can drum up some other board support. If we can pick some focused issues and have more than just our voice and our board go to the legislature with some issues, then we can have a greater impact. And I know Scott and Steve are each reaching out to a couple of other of our local boards. So see if we can build a, grassroots education advocacy group of some sort.
Thank you.
Because that's where, again, a lot of our pain points are in Montpelier, and if we don't have a voice there,
right,
then,
Can I just ask a
Is that first one, is that the one that created the study committee over the next 18 months? The 887, the funding
887.
one?
I don't have that one printed out in front of me.
I'm just curious.
Study committee for what?
This, for school funding. That's that one?
Yes.
Or is the governor's gonna
That also is the.
Yes.
For the yield information and
Yeah.
And it's-
18-month study committee and the.
House and Senate have passed it, and
Right.
the word out there is that the governor intends to be.
And who knows where that goes.
But could come back to a supermajority.
Exactly.
That's
I
the
don't
question.
know.
And that's
That's
kind of what we're waiting on
But
right now.
that's where a lot of advocacy will need to be generated if it does get vetoed to go back to the supermajority.
Well, thank you. I think personally, I think this is a great addition to our committees and it will make us all smarter. Outreach and publicity.
Yeah, so the outreach committee did not have an official meeting since the last time I saw all of you. There's some scheduling conflicts and some miscommunications. We are hoping to establish a rhythm of having meetings on the Tuesday following our typical Thursday board meetings. We want to kind of work out a process that can keep the flow of information going. So it's not just like, we need votes, get a flyer out there, but it's more consistent. People get used to learning stuff from the board. So Katie and I are going to get that scheduled. I'm going to let Kelly know about it tomorrow so she can have it warned. And during that meeting, we'll be kind of addressing our marching orders from the board and starting to brainstorm ways that we could develop a system that is kind of easily populated and can get the information out to everyone in a timely manner. I personally drafted some posters about the upcoming budget. It's just information. I think we were going to do that.
Yeah, we're
later,
gonna
though,
do
right?
that
Okay.
in the budget discussion because then we can have action.
Yes,
Here we have no action.
All right.
It's
So
just a report.
no action. Then my report is we're going to have a meeting soon, and it'll be great.
Okay. Restructuring.
Scott has his hand up. Scott Campbell's.
Scott.
Sorry, you can't see.
I just wanted to make a comment. I was in Springfield yesterday, and on their buses, on the side and the back of their buses, were big signs that said, "Please go out and vote."
Right.
That's smart.
On the school too. Yeah, the sign, yeah.
They vote on the 21st, maybe we can borrow them from.
That's true. That's
That's an idea.
Scott, how were they placed? Was it like poster boards or was it like, what was on the board? What was on it? Was on windows?
It was on the one on the side. It was below the windows, right below where it said, where it would say Two Rivers School District, and then right on the back, below all the emergency exit stickers. I mean, you couldn't miss it. It was all big letters. I think it was white and black on the side, and then it was in big bright yellow on the back.
Then they put them on with magnets.
Awesome.
I think it was a printed out piece of fabric, honestly. I mean, it was flopping in the breeze, but you could see it perfectly.
Okay. That's good information. Thank you. Okay, so restructure. Well, we have a meeting scheduled. And do we need to anybody that wants to report on the last meeting? We really didn't do.
We didn't have one. It was combined with that special budget meeting and then we didn't have it. So then it's just the next scheduled one.
Right, we'll talk about restructuring next time. Okay. Okay, so now we're into the budget discussion. So you can talk about your.
All right, so this is just a simple poster that I put together. Around. These are drafts. If there's any information that I messed up or anything that the board feels should be added or subtracted from this poster, I'm more than happy to make edits. It's in a format that could easily be turned into a flyer for a mailer or anything like that. do that work fairly quickly. I'll read it out for the benefit of those on
I
Zoom.
can hold it up.
Yeah, I can bring it closer to the camera if that's helpful.
Is there a digital version?
I could email it to you, yes. In general, it says, make your voice heard and vote on the GMUSD school budget taking place Tuesday, June 4th, and have your questions answered at the informational meeting to be held at 6 p.m. May 30th at the Green Mountain High School Library and virtually on Zoom, link found at trsu.org. Information about the budget can be found at trsu.org by following the link on the homepage to, quote, GMUSD proposed budget FY25, or by scanning the QR code shown here with your cell phone camera.
Sounds great.
To tell you the truth, I was clicking all around there. It worked? Oh, excellent. I was worried I might have grabbed the wrong link. I was going to double check it before I really printed them out. So, if the information works, and this is a good idea from the board, I could have 100 of these printed by Sunday, and be more than willing to drive them around to board members, start to post them. My sphere of influence is really Chester. That's where I know where all the bulletin boards are, having done some various poetry group things in the past. So if that's agreeable to everyone, I'd be happy to contact everyone individually and try to get these moving out the door and posted in places where people can see it.
Looks good to me.
I think this looks great.
Me too.
I think it looks better than thinking about it as a postcard. I think this looks better than the draft I shared with a few people. Some things that we were slapping together, which I was going to share with you here. I think this does a better job of getting the information out, but I'll show you what we have.
Yeah, I think the thing about the postcard is that that'll be mailed to people's homes.
Yes.
Which is different. This will put up around town and it's meant to just share information. I mean, hopefully you'll put it in your school bulletin board, just, parents coming into the building.
Yeah, I think personally, the more people that see this, my stepbrother studied marketing, and he was sharing with me the other day that, like, the average consumer, if we want to think that way, needs 7 points of contact before they go buy something. You have to be notified or learn about something 7 times before your brain says, oh, that might actually be a good idea. So I think the more places we can get this out, and also it is digital, so I can, sorry, I just remember I was supposed to email it to you.
Jeff sent it to me. It looks fantastic.
Thank you. It can go on Facebook. It's pretty easy to get around. So yeah, anyone that wants copies, if you have a certain number, I'll let you know.
Give me some, I'll spread them around.
That'd be great.
Might be able to get them in some businesses too.
Yeah, go for it. That would be fun.
We don't have many locations in Cavendish, so we don't need a whole lot, but, you know. Yes. There's bulletin boards up there.
We don't want to litter.
Fishing game.
Do we need a motion for this?
Do we need a motion?
You can have one to accept it.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
If you share it electronically with us, then the principal will attach it to newsletters and we can zoom it out to people.
That sounds great. I'll send it to Adrian or in the actual PDF. I don't think I might be able to do that. Might take a second.
Did you see this, the draft possibility for the mailer at this point? Adrian, Lois, is that?
Yeah, no, I think we should show it.
And again, this is not administrator's particular skill set. And we're under a time constraint for this. So I will share with you what what we put together, mostly my having slapped it together. But a couple of administrators have looked at it as well. This would be the front side. And then that would be the back with the address of it going out. I mean, it is not a couple of people, it is designed to be able to go to both Ludlow, Mount Holly.
Yeah, it's not a lot of information.
It's not, it has no information about budget numbers because and I've had a couple of people ask me about that. The idea that we are going to give information about why the budget is what it is on a postcard, it's not realistic. That as far as I was concerned, the purpose of a mailer was to do exactly what Tuck is doing here. It is to put something in everybody's mailbox that prevents people from saying, I had no idea there was a vote.
The key is to get people to come and vote.
No, I personally think it's a great idea. I think it works. You have all the information there. If there's space on the back, which it looked like there was, I could do a QR code just for that.
I was going to say that's exactly what this needs. And Kelly English was putting that together, but you already have one for Green Mountain.
Yeah.
So we would want to do one that is labeled GMUSD and one labeled LMH. And there is certainly room to position those on the back.
All right, that's excellent. I think I have 9 free QR codes left on my free trials. Use them up. Let me know.
If I can give you that as an assignment, because you can
Yes,
get to
please.
the LMH one in the same place on the TRSU website. And if you could create both of those and send them to me, and if people are willing to have this go out, our printer has an absolute deadline of Monday morning. He would really like it tomorrow in order, which is why we haven't had meetings about this, in order for him to be able to get it printed and then sent out by May 24th, which, given the long weekend and no mail going around on that Monday, is the window for our being sure that people are getting it prior to June 4th. Before I go any further with that, his costs for the mailing postcard would be $445 to print it and $325.75 for mail prep, addressing, and postage. That's for the whole SU, so essentially 65–70% of that is Green Mountains. I think they do a lot of work for us, so it's very realistic.
That's very reasonable.
They will also do up to 25 yard signs. I've been saying this has to be American Sign Language for yards, because I keep making this gesture. Is it milk? This wouldn't be yard sign, Kate. What kind of a yard sign is it? But the cost for that is $20 each if we do up to 25. Our plan for that, I don't have a mock-up for you, but our plan for that is for it to say school budget vote. And then there's a pocket where we can put in the date, and that way we can reuse them year after year.
No, okay.
And so for doing, basically doing somewhere around 10 to 15 for Green Mountain, we can do more if you want us to do more. We can order 20 for the Green Mountain side of things, would be $400 for all of it. And we will, I'm not sure where that money is, but I wanted that, I do want approval for before we spend the money.
It's a whole lot of sense to me, and I'm really glad to hear that they can be reused. I think that's very important. And yeah, I can get you the QR codes by 9 p.m. So maybe not 9 p.m., but as soon as we get out of here.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we need a motion, thank you.
To what?
To approve the mailers and the signs.
We're expending the funds to purchase the mailer and the signs. That would be up to a maximum of I think it'll be under 1,000, but I would ask for up to a maximum of 1,100.
And how many signs is that for Green Mountain?
You tell me. I think we had talked about doing 20 for the whole SU, but we have 4 towns rather than 2 here, and if you want to spread things out a little bit, we can do more. What's your pleasure?
My first thought would be 25 for Green Mountain.
They won't go to waste.
Yeah, because they're reusable, so.
Yeah, they're reusable, but you can count on a loss of a few.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, it's, what is that? Would be 500. So 500 for the signs. And then trying to roughly do the math in my head for 70% of just under $800, which would be $560, something like that.
Julie?
560.
560 sounds about right. Hey, there you go.
Take it, $1,060.
It pleases me that I am still able to do some math in my head. All right,
Me, really, as long as you do it right.
so together that is just under $1,100.
So I move that we approve up to $1,100 for postcard mailings and 25 yard signs for Green Mountain. That's all with the, get out the vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just, I think it would be lovely. I know the Cavendish PTG is planning on having the students make a get out the vote sign for the school. I think it would be lovely to have a student made signs for all of the schools, just because I think that would be lovely. And getting them involved in.
Our National Honor Society are already on that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Great. That's excellent.
Our student council is also great.
Yay, great.
Okay, terrific.
And I did share an email, we talked about it at both the LP and the meeting, the updated information from the attorneys, you as board members, advocate away. You are under no restrictions around that. So you can put signs in your yard, you can tell people to vote yes. I will reluctantly tell you, you can also tell people to vote no. You are, as board members, you can advocate for your position. Employees, as long as they are not currently in the moment working, and that's a little hard for administrators, there's really not a point at which it's possible to say I'm not being the superintendent. But for our teachers and the rest of our staff, when they walk away from the building and they are no longer acting in their employment, they also can advocate, put signs in their yard, and encourage people to vote in whatever direction they want to encourage people to vote.
That's good. Okay, is there anything else that we want to discuss on the budget tonight?
I mean, unless we have this later on in the budget as well. I don't know whether there's anything else anybody wanted to talk about connected with the budget in general. We have it on here again. I guess I was going to bring up when we were in the FY25, but we seem to be covering it all now. I would just like to remind everyone as headlines that say that there is again, talk about the tax rate in Vermont as though that is what is happening for everyone everywhere. I was going to share, once again, we have this on our, if you follow this QR code, you can get to the information that Cheryl had prepared. Again, there's now out there from the headline that says state approves a 13% tax increase. You have to read the print to see that that is an average, but there are people saying, you told us our taxes would be lower, it's 13. So I want to remind everybody of where we are with with our numbers, that small, so we fit on the whole board. That the projected tax rate for Andover with the CLA, that is not us, is 8.18. It's actually a decrease for Baltimore because they've had their appraisal recently. 5.99 for Cavendish, 5.12 for Chester. You'll notice none of those are double digits, let alone 13%. So as you're talking to constituents and they're telling you that at first it said 18%, now it's saying 13%. They're not talking about us. This is where we are. And that information is available online, QR codes, website to direct people there. I also, just so you know, when you're sending these to me, I'm being reminded that the post office has rules about positioning QR codes on mailers, so we'll make sure, when you send them to us, we'll make sure we have them where the post office isn't going to get excited.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, all right, thank you. Are there other questions around it?
So now it's time for public comments. Is there anybody who signed up? Nope. Okay. Anybody, Randy, you have anything you want to say today?
Yeah, I guess so. I wasn't bad. I was just gonna come and listen, but I'll make a quick little comment. First of all, I think the board's having a really good meeting and it's nice to see it. Secondly, I know the budget is a tough thing. I know the numbers are up there, but you know, I talk to a lot of different people too. And the number one driving thing is, are we getting our money's worth? And where are we going from this point forward? The school and the board needed to make a gesture to prove that point, and I think you've gone beyond that. I think you've really done a good job at trimming this budget, even though it's going to make an impact. It's definitely going to make an impact. But in order for this to happen, that allows us now to go to the state and say, look, we need more money from you. This has to come from the state as well. So I commend the board on doing this. It's a tough decision, I know that, but I think it was well met. I'm a little concerned with the flyers and stuff. I like Tucker's flyer. I think that's a great idea. But I think our third round vote, I am pretty confident we're going to get this through this time. So $1,000 is $1,000. I believe the public wasn't informed. And I think there should be ways of doing that, but $1,000 is $1,000. I think between the flyers, the kids putting out signs and any other means that we can come up with, I think this go around, we're going to have a good chance at doing that. That's really all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, new hires, new business.
All right, we have 3 new hires. Shall we start with our K-6?
Sure.
Nicole, it's all right with you? We'll start with our K-6 literacy teacher, which everybody has the information. This is Dana Smith. While the interview process takes place mostly in the buildings, I have an individual meeting with all of the people we're going to hire before they come to you, so that I can tell you that I've met them and that I approve the selection. Dana is enthusiastic and eager and has just a wealth of ideas of ways to coach and bring support to teachers. I think she's going to be a great hire for us. And I'll let Nicole talk about the specifics of why they want her.
So our committee was really excited to bring her to the board tonight. She comes with a wealth of experience, as Lauren said, as both a classroom teacher and an interventionist. Her background includes experience working with staff on the development of systems, which will be crucial in maintaining and expanding our data-driven approaches, which we've come quite a long way with this position and is very helpful from all the way from kindergarten to 6th grade. Her understanding of universal design and the importance of data-driven decision-making will be extremely beneficial for the continued development of our multi-layered systems of supports. And additionally, her experience working with families and staff will be crucial in providing support for our educational support team. And as Lauren said, her excitement really had the committee having Joey chase her into the parking lot to make sure that we could offer her possibility of working with us. And do you have any questions?
We voted.
I need a motion, yeah, you.
So I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the hire of Dana Smith.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Grade 1, 2 teacher.
And we have a proposal for a hire of Dale, if you're ready as well, for a grade 1, 2 teacher at Cavendish, Stacy Royce Boynton. And this was and Dale can talk about this as well. We didn't have a vacancy, but we do have a very large 1, 2 happening next year because we have a bumper crop of kindergartners. There are 20 in the kindergarten class, which is a larger class and has been at Cavendish for a while. So while we're pretty comfortable with the idea in most of our schools of individuals teaching a combined class that has 15, 16, 17 kids in it, teaching a combined class with one teacher with 26 or 27 did not seem like a great idea. So repositioning some of the teachers so that this would be we've had 2 teachers this year teaching 5, 6, 2 teachers teaching 3, 4, 1 teacher teaching 1, 2. Next year with that larger class, it would be 2 teachers teaching 1, 2. Advertised, interviewed, it can be hard to find people, particularly in the lower grades. Stacy lives here. She is, she's actually, I believe, in Chester at this point. And we're, while you will see, and Dale can talk about it, that she has had a variety of jobs. They are all with reason for moves. She's working right now as a para at Chester Andover. Nicole can talk about their interactions with her and why we think she is a great choice, but I'll be quiet now and let Dale tell me why his team selected her.
I don't know if you got a copy of the resume or not, but on page 4, there was an error, and I think it has to do with School Spring. It's generating January 2050.
Yeah.
That happened.
That wasn't the only one.
Yeah, the other resumes have come that way as well. So I think that's just an error in the system. But just to correct that, if you like, she worked at the Four Corners Children's Center from February 2018 to 2023. So she had 5 years of experience in that learning center. Just to share that, just there was an error, and I called and got verification of employment there. So total years of experience working with children is 9 years. I think that's always important to have someone with some years of experience. She really came to the table with a lot of knowledge about child development, early childhood. She likes working with little children. She said that in the interview. She's very positive, great experiences overall, and she has a master's degree, and she's certified in Vermont as a teacher. So she's had her certification all completed. And the community overwhelmingly thought everyone agreed that she was a good match for our school, very positive, very warm, very nurturing. I think she would be a perfect match for grade 1, 2.
And I can just speak to the fact that Stacey's been great. We are sad to lose her, but we also know her intention was to go back to being in the classroom as a teacher. She's a community member who actively supports both during school day and after school. And she really enjoys working with the kids, and she's always asking for more information to make sure that she's updated on what the school's community looks like, because Chester and everything's a little different than Cavendish. So I know she'll have lots of great questions, and I know someone who got to work at Cavendish, she'll really love working there as well.
And her certification, which I don't know whether it shows up here or not, she's certified both K-6 and also for pre-K, for birth through 3.
Oh, yes. Can we have a motion?
Motion to hire her.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Terrific, thank you. And then for our big finish, we have the Spanish teacher for Green Mountain, Julie. And I had a meeting with her as well. I know John knows her, and we'll talk about why she is their top choice. She was wonderful, and it will be such a benefit for our middle and high school students who have had a bit of a revolving door. And in particular, people who have not always taught Spanish to English speakers, but sometimes we're teaching English to Spanish speakers. That she's got 24 years of experience teaching Spanish in Vermont. And she is it is a wonderful thing. I think our students are going to be thrilled to have somebody with that kind of extensive experience who is not going to arrive trying to find her way, but already is ready to go. And I think it will help to build our program. So, John, you know who you can speak to.
I'll try and keep it short. I've known Julie for 22 years, maybe 24. She's sort of Bells Falls. I did not go and poach her. I've got to make that clear. I did not vote when we voted to hire because it was unanimous before I said a word. I really believe her energy. She'll develop our program from our young kids right through to Spanish 4 or Spanish 5. She'll find a way to encourage kids to take it even if they've had up to 4 and they're kind of gone. She's very kid friendly. She's really excited to make this move. Her magnetism is contagious. Proficiency based, she was part of our development of it. She understands it very well. And it'll just be getting to know what we do, which is very similar, and that will not be a problem at all. Unique qualities. When she was younger and first qualified, she lived in Spain and she actually married a Spaniard in her first marriage. And I know that doesn't sound phenomenal, but she lived in Spain for 7 years and she spoke only Spanish. And now when she watches films or movies or shows, she only watches them in Spanish. It drives her fiance mad. The group wanted to hire her immediately, as I said, when we interviewed her. She is Vermont certified. She has a master's. She's met with Lauren and got seal of approval. And she asked me a question recently, like I think it was Sunday or Monday. She said, would it be appropriate if she went on and purchased GM apparel? Because she's very into her school and she will be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And our numbers are going to go through the roof for Spanish. That's excellent.
Motion, please.
I make a motion that we hire her.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Wonderful, thank you. I think
Thank you, guys.
we are well served by all three of these.
It's excellent.
Okay, now we have policies.
We do not have
not.
first readings.
Casey has a hand.
Can I just ask a quick question? This has kind of been on my mind as we've been going through budget. It's been percolating, and really haven't found the right time to ask it. Maybe this isn't the right time or place, but we've talked about educational outcomes and improving that. We've gone through the SIP and now we're talking about hiring, and it's been on my mind for a while now is the question of what is our reputation as an employer? We want to attract talent. Are we an attractive organization, employer? If people want to come work here, teach here, because if we want to improve educational outcomes, we've got to be we want to attract talent, right? And I don't know what that looks like. Maybe this end of the room knows better. I don't know. So this might not be the right place for that question, but it's been in my mind.
I think it's a very good question, and the principals can speak to this as well, but everybody we hire eventually comes through the superintendent's office as well, and we work on what we're advertising for, what we're looking at. And the answer to this question, like so many others, is it depends. We're not a monolith. And different schools have different reputations, and they have different reputations for different kinds of jobs. And that there are people who hear about from others what it's like to work in one of our schools. And for some people, what they hear is, this is where I want to be. And other people can hear that same message and say, I don't want to work in a place. So my take on it over the last 4 years has been that in general, as I said at the beginning, we don't have empty positions and surrounding schools do. So overall, I think we have a good reputation for being a good employer. The board went through and did in the last go round a 14% wage increase over a period of 3 years, brought us, we were already in the same salary range at the beginning of people's careers, but we are now competitive all the way up. And for the most part, we have employees who come in and stay a long time, and that speaks well. There are certainly pockets where the reputation is not what we want it to be, and that's not something I would want to discuss in an open session. But overall, I think we are in a very good place, and if we weren't, we would be with those schools that struggle to fill positions. And by having said that, I certainly would invite our principals and assistant principals who've been working with this year to say what they found in working with recruiting people.
I mean, we had 3 open positions this year, and we had multiple applicants for all 3 of those positions. You know, even both 5th and 6th grade positions that we hired for, you know, we had to make some difficult decisions because we had more than 2 options, which is not always the case for other districts around us. The fact that people are applying and people with great skill are applying, as well as, you know, we have younger teachers who are coming in. One of our 5-6 teachers has only been teaching for 4 years. She's also a Green Mountain graduate, which is great too. I've been at Chester for 10 years, almost 10 years now. And usually there's not much of a turnover with classroom teachers. I think I can say 4 or 5 have left in the last decade for different reasons. But like Lauren said, there's always going to be positive and negatives. But I do think most of our schools have a great community feel, and you know, we have teachers who drive an hour away, and we have teachers who live right here in the community and have kids in the classroom.
I have been on multiple hiring committees, and we've never had trouble recruiting. I also am on the teachers bargaining committee. And, you know, we try to be competitive. So that's about all I can add. But based on Casey's comments, we've always in the past, and we should think about this again, we've always had a place for board member comments. And I think we don't have that here. And we'll make sure that we put it on the agenda. So when you have something that you want to bring up, you don't have to be uncomfortable, and that would be a good place to do it. Okay. No policies. Okay. Roland Fellowship. Yes.
Should I share my presentation with you, Lauren?
You should be able to do that.
I'll just have to tell you.
Unless, if you want to sign into Zoom, you can display it yourself. Or you can, if you want to share with me and have me pull it up, either way.
Okay, maybe I'll just sign into Zoom. That's a good idea. So while I'm doing that, actually, I'll just share it with you, and I think it will be done faster. I have kind of a extensive presentation. I'm going to go through highlights, and then if people would like me to send it to you, I'm happy to do that. But okay, so you should have it. Yep. Great.
Just pulling it up.
I'm also navigating. I recently am absolutely unable to read without reading glasses, and so like that's it's hard to do things like this because I can't see you all when I'm looking. I'll do the best I can. So you can skip to the next page. If for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jessica Kessler. I'm the school-based clinician at Green Mountain, and I've worked here for 14 years. I know it's not public comment, but I happen to think it's a wonderful place to work. I think our district is a really, and school particularly, is a really great place to work. I think we're really a supportive place. So this year we were awarded a Roland grant and fellowship. If you're not familiar with the Roland Foundation, it's a private endowed foundation. And their mission is really to fund creative ideas that Vermont educators have that will include school culture. It's like a very simple, broad mission. And they call for proposals in December. It's pretty competitive and sort of like labor intensive to apply. They award up to 6 grants every year. And so this year we got one.
I'm going to stop you. I appreciate the global way that Jess is presenting.
I got one.
But Jess got one, and to work with us and to do our things. But she did the work and had the idea.
Thank you. I'm not great at that. But the model, the Roland Foundation model, actually, if you could skip to the next slide, Laura, that's probably better.
Maybe I can.
This is kind of a better description. It's really a shared leadership model. So the idea is, yes, one person writes this grant and gets a fellowship, and usually the person who got the fellowship takes a sabbatical for the entire year. I did 2 days a week at school and the rest of the time working on this, just because as a clinician, I have worked really hard to develop relationships with some of our most needy kids. And so I didn't want to just disappear for the year. But the way that, the really cool thing I don't want to forget to say about the Roland Foundation is that it connects us to all of these other schools in the state and New England that are doing cool things. And it's like an accolade for us. And it's a positive thing that we can put forward that we're working on in our building. So, yeah, it gives us a little, I don't know, clout in the state or something. And so it's a 2-year cycle. The first year is designed as just a research and education and in looking into whatever the problem that you've chosen to address in your building is. A lot of visiting other schools to see what they're doing. And the model is we created a steering committee, which includes teachers and our administrators and our nurse, and really all of the things that we do go through that group. We meet twice a week. I mean, no, not twice a week, twice a month. And then we also have an advisory council, which is a broader group. And we have people from local law enforcement and our administrators, parents, people from community mental health agencies, and just a broader network, students. I think that's the bulk of it. And that's been really helpful. We meet less frequently, but the feedback we get in those meetings is really useful because it's just people who are not in it. And so that's how that works. And then if you could skip to the next one. Yeah. Oh, you already did. Look at you. Sorry. So our vision when we wrote the grant is really this question. And so an inquiry-based grant, how do we use our school's existing resources to more fully support our students and remove barriers to educational access? And this question had been floating around a lot in our minds before, during, and after COVID, when we saw such dramatic increase in needs in our families and our students. We thought there would be 3 components: a mental health literacy education piece, a peer support program, and the creation of a wellness space in our school. And I'll talk more about those things, but we can skip to the next one. The whole project is really kind of based around Council's hierarchy of need, which I'm sure is a familiar concept. Basically, you can't learn if your basic needs are not met. The kinds of needs our students are coming to us with are different than they used to be. We spend time making sure kids have food and clothing and like a safe place to take a shower. And so because of the intensity of the needs and because of our lack of lack of incoming, we're not going to have new resources most likely. So we're trying to be creative about how we address these needs. And so you can skip through the next one. It's just another look at Maslow's hierarchy. Basically, if you haven't got that bottom stuff, you can't advance and you can't learn. And so one of the things that we started with is data. We have lots of data about, attendance and discipline, but we don't have a lot of data about student well-being. And so we used this Vispert survey, which is a well-researched, widely tested survey, often used in doctor's offices, and it gave us a baseline idea about students' sense of belonging, well-being, and social supports. We surveyed 160 kids in grades 9 through 12, and I just threw up a couple of bullet points. There's a ton of information that came out of this survey, and it's also important to note that this is the first time we've done it. The most useful thing we'll do with this survey is keep doing it and be able to compare each year. So this is pretty good. At school, there is an adult who really cares about me. 89% of the students who answered the question said yes. We would like that to be 100. But it's pretty, 90%, almost 90% is not a bad thing. And then the next one is feels bullied or harassed. And that's 27% said that they had felt that way in the last year, which again is, I think, compared with other schools, it's probably better. However, we don't want 27% of our students to have felt that way in a year. And these two particular data points I think are really interesting because when we did our student advocacy group, these were the two things that they were the most, that they talked about the most, like student-teacher relationships and worrying about bullying and just kind of generally like how we treat each other in our school. So you can skip through the next one. There's a lot of stuff about screen time. As we know, kids are on screens a lot. I think this is extremely underreported, as Lauren and I talked about. There is no way that only 40% of our students are on screens for 4 or more hours. I think it's much higher than that. But it's a factor that's affecting their well-being and their health. So, anyway, before I talk about the student support, I just wanted to say quickly that we have had a great success in engaging with lots of community agencies. During COVID, we started to feel sort of like we're in this all alone. The services that used to be there are not there anymore. And so this year, I feel like we've really re-engaged with HCRS and our local medical providers and the community supports that exist both here and also across the state. The Center for Behavioral Health helped us set up the survey, provided us some training. And we have just been able to foster some really great relationships throughout the state and throughout New England. So if you go to the next one. So our student advocacy group, we work with After School Vermont with Matt Wolf, who worked in our area forever in youth engagement, and it has now moved up to Montpelier. This organization, what they do is they help schools create support student-led initiatives. And we worked with him this year to create a series of workshops. Any interested student could participate. And there was a big education component around leadership, mental health, advocacy, what does it mean to be a support for another student? And then also we spent time talking with them about ideas that they had or things that they wanted to work on. And one of the areas they're most concerned about is bullying, and as well as student-teacher relationships. It was really interesting. They were distressed by the difficulty in some of their relationships with teachers. They care about it, even though they don't show it. They really care about it sometimes. So one of their ideas, my favorite idea of theirs, is that they create a guide for difficult conversations between students and teachers, kind of like a what to say guide, which I thought was pretty cool. And maybe we will actually do that. After School Vermont also provided a mental health first aid training for some of our staff, which is a widely used, it gives you the basics about mental health issues and then what to do if you encounter someone who's struggling. So we're going to continue to work with them. And then this is also very exciting. We know that our students struggle with access to behavioral health care and physical health care. And one of the schools that we visited, Winooski, they have this like crazy, amazing state of the art. It's like the doctor's office in their school. It's really incredible, like a dental chair, x-rays, all this stuff. And they have had really impressive data about attendance and parent relationships with the school. It's just really improved their school in a positive way. And they're also really willing to help. So they have been offering help for us, like when we have questions about how it would work to get a doctor into our building. Our hope is we can do that once a month, every month next year. And we're also working with a local agency to try to get an additional clinician into our building to meet some of our counseling needs next year. So those are some exciting ways we're trying to build capacity. And then one of the most important things that has come out of this work this year is this concept of a wellness space. As I think all of you know, we've had a marked increase of pretty intense behaviors in classes and students not being able to stay in the room. And this is distressing for the students, but also the kids in the class that are trying to learn, the teachers. It's like it has just a really negative impact on our whole school. And so a wellness space, all of the schools we visited had some version of this, like they called it a reset room or a Zen den or a chill zone or any number of different things. But it's a tier 1 preventative intervention that is available to any student that is designed to hopefully to meet whatever need it is that is blocking the kid from being able to access their education. Because a lot of the time we know extreme behavior is really about like they need something. And so our hope is that this non-punitive but available space will become something that students get in the habit of using, teachers get in the habit of offering, and it will take some of the pressure off of our teachers and give students a way of asking for what they need before they tell us they need something with really dramatic behavior that gets them in trouble. And so in addition to having it be a calm space, they can take a break and then return quickly to class. They'll also be able to access our counselors, and we'll do support groups in this space, have reentry meetings. We'll have a quiet space for homework, that kind of stuff. Food, toiletries, clean clothing, access to a washer dryer, and a safe place to shower will be available. The other thing is that this is a natural space to be practicing and engaging with our SEL curriculum that we're working on getting going. And so that'll be a great way to like practice some of the skills and reinforce what we're learning, our teachers are learning, and our students will be learning. So I think that's the bulk of it. In short, students can't learn if their physical and emotional needs are not met. We spent a lot of time reflecting on how we use our personnel and our spaces in our building, and we want to help more students be successful and want to use local resources to build up our capacity in our staff and our students. And that's some stop there. I feel like I just went really fast through a lot of stuff. Thanks. I'm happy to answer questions now. I'm happy to provide this or more information if people want it. And yeah.
How many students participated? There was student participation.
Yeah. So we started off with about 35, and it kind of went up and down. By the end, we had 15 students who are very like solidly invested, and I hope that we will have more. We're going to do a retreat in the summer for them and meet with them again like before school starts to talk about plans for next year. So I hope maybe through doing that we can get some more interest.
Good advocates for new students.
Exactly, yes. We use those advocacy skills for that.
Just want to say congratulations. That was excellent. I definitely love a copy of the presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll pass it on.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Technology refresh.
Yeah. And that's Lauren Baker.
Lawrence. Okay, hi, Lauren.
Hi. In case you don't know me, I'm Lauren Baker. I'm the Director of Technology, and I needed to speak with you today because, believe it or not, August 28th is not far away in terms of technology deployment and planning. So I have a couple of slides to share, and I'm hoping that this will kind of make a kind of complex topic a little streamlined. So basically, this is the time of year when we do our planned refreshes, begin the planning for the acquisition and financing of our refreshes each year. And this year's refresh is replacing all the iPads at Chester Andover and Cavendish. And we have, every year we get new laptops for ninth graders so they make it through high school with a machine with a useful life that'll make it. And then we have new teachers always coming and going, and some older devices that need updating. So that's kind of the essence of what we plan to do this year. And we have in the proposed, not yet voted on budget, $160,540 of leasing dollars to support the acquisition and funding of all our different refreshes. And because we don't have a approved budget this year, we do need the board to authorize us to begin this process of purchasing the equipment and seeking the financing to meet the $160,540 budget allocation. Whoops, is this going to work? Oh, there we go. So some more details about the proposal itself. We're talking about acquiring $295,160 of equipment. We got the split outs in the prices because people always are kind of curious what we're paying. There's, we do subscribe to Apple Care for schools, which is a no fee option, which is very helpful in keeping costs down over the course of the useful life of the devices. We provide different case types for the K2 students versus the grades 3 through 6 students in Paris, where they have a built-in keyboard with a touchpad as part of their configuration. So that's why they're split out separately. So what we need to do is answer any questions that you might have. And just in case you're wondering how to word this, I have some suggested wording for what we will need from the board in order to start this process, in order to be ready for August 28th devices for all the students that are in this refresh. Maybe should have noted that we do have a life cycle planning schedule that we've actually been using for almost 20 years now. And so this is just really a kind of a normal process, with the exception that we don't have the, confirmed budget in order to present for the financing part to happen. And we have multiple paths forward on the financing, and we're just trying to spend some time negotiating with the financing company because interest rates are more of a factor now than they used to be. And Cheryl has agreed to be involved in deciding what option suits our needs best. So if anybody, I can't see anybody, so whoops, did you want that still up there?
Well, would somebody like to make the motion?
Yeah, sorry, I'll put that back up. Oops, I can share, I have to hit the right button. There we go.
Is it possible to make the motion contingent upon the budget passing? Feels a little uncomfortable to be spending that much money without a budget that has been voted down.
Well, I certainly understand that, as Lauren will tell you, that you will be, you need to have some money in order to move forwards with, if our budget doesn't pass on July 1st, you will be borrowing money in order to run our schools. If we, and the way, and Lauren, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the way our lease for these devices works is that when a budget is passed, they just rely on the fact of the past budget to be able to continue to trust us that we will pay them the amount that we're agreeing to pay them over a period of time. If we don't have a past budget, they're not going to give us any of these items unless the board has said whatever the money is that we have to spend will include money to make sure that our students have the devices that we require them to have in order to do school. And it's up to you. You can decide that you're not going to do that, understanding that even if the budget passes on June 4th, you will not, you will probably not be ready. I don't know the details, Lawrence.
Yeah, the lead time they're saying is 8 to 10 weeks for delivery. So that's why it's important to have equipment in-house by the latest mid-July in order to be able to prepare everything for end of August.
Adrian has her hand up.
I was just going to make the motion to approve the proposed, or I'm sorry, make a motion for the proposed budget. I think that this technology is needed for the children.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd second that. I think I agree.
Discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kate. It feels uncomfortable to be approving this sort of thing, but in today's day and age, yeah.
We just approved hiring teachers and we'll run out of money in March or April if we don't pass budget, so.
I think
And that makes sense.
today's day and age, I think, it's like textbooks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly, and it feels really uncomfortable to be spending money on all the things.
It feels really uncomfortable not to have passed the budget.
Well said.
It's true.
Okay, all those in favor of passing this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Lauren.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your support. And this is a well-oiled process, so I promise you that it's going to go according to plan.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is exchange student procedures.
This was something that someone asked last time to put onto the.
It was me.
Yeah, so it's on there. As we said last time, we talked about this, which I think, I don't remember whether that was at the April meeting or when it was. As I think I said, we do not have any policy around how many students we take or don't take at the high school. We have past practice. Past practice has been that we generally take 2, one from the Chester Rotary or the Ludlow Rotary, and then one from private organizations. It has always resided in the discretion of the principal. That was me for 2 years, so I remember how we did it then. And in general, and I think John is doing the same thing, talk to your staff, talk to your guidance department, see where people feel about the stress level within schools. There are years when people may feel that it is okay to have additional students come in, and years when people will feel not so great about that. But our past practice has been limited to 2 students and not to open it up. There's no particular policy in place. That was the information that we shared with the people who approached John and then me with a question about it.
Should we put a policy in place? Should we see if there's any funding that the state or the country, the feds would dish out for that? I'm just thinking as like if you could get more, I mean, that means more students in our schools.
If you want to bring a policy forwards, the policy committee has its next meeting on June, what did we say, 13th? bring something forwards about it. Even with that, though, my advice is that in general, our policies say things like it's the policy of the TRSU to welcome students in, subject to the discretion of the school they're being welcomed into. And to your point about whether there is funding available, again, somebody can look into that. To the best of my knowledge, there is not funding that is provided to the school, that there can be funding from private organizations. The Rotary would sponsor people, but that sponsoring isn't to pay tuition to a school. It is to help provide the costs that a student would incur in traveling. And it's a benefit to have students here from other countries in order to be both having the experience they have and for our students to have that experience. I think that there is a discussion about whether it is a benefit, that where the limit is. You know, it can be a benefit to have 2 and maybe even 3 or 4. You would want to be careful about saying, we'll take another dozen students or something along that size.
How is tuition paid? Is there a tuition that is
for
paid?
exchange students?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so there wouldn't really be a benefit to have a financial benefit.
No
to have
financial. I
more.
mean, there's a cultural benefit to it, but no, they do not. They do not pay tuition, which is part of why it has been a sort of discretionary measure.
They don't count in any formula.
No.
It was just. It's just such a gray area. I mean, Candace, who's on, she actually has her hand up. She kind of runs all this, and she asked me to ask questions about this because there's so much that's unknown in the, if there was policies or where funding's coming from, or how many students can we have, and I just didn't know. So I thought it was something that we should bring up, and maybe not have an issue again down the road, maybe.
Never has been anything that has ever been raised before. As I said, our practice has been that we pay 2 students, and that's what we've done. And I don't know whether you want to take public comment at this point. Certainly all right with me if you do. But Lois or Adrian, that's up to you.
Well, sure.
I'll yield to Lois.
Yeah, sure.
So, did you have something you wanted to, there was a hand raised?
Candace was on there. She's the one that runs the whole.
Yeah, so I actually am a local coordinator for the EF Exchange Year program, and I think that's probably why it just started to become a common trend. I had a student. Let's stop. I had a student last year full-time, and then we continued to host, and now other local families are becoming interested. Hold on a second.
Lauren Baker, who is our tech director and handles Power School things, has just shared that in terms of ADM, Power School, and state attendance issues, an exchange student is considered a guest.
So anyways, I brought it up because I continuously have other families locally asking. So I've reached out to other coordinators in the state of Vermont who work with EF, and they have policies in place. So I was just wondering if it was something that we could consider making a policy so that if down the road I have more than 1 or 2 families, and I understand that the Rotary is a part of that as well, to not be able to have to say no to somebody potentially. Most schools have 5 spots that they will consider, and it is obviously based on the school board to approve that, but it's like a first come first served basis where they will take students from various organizations, and I just wanted to see if that was something we could put in place.
Adrian's got her hand up again, so okay.
Adrian?
Thank you, Candace. Actually, my question is for Candace. Would you be able to provide an example of any of these policies I think student exchange programs are exceptionally valuable. And I think they are just a tremendous benefit for both the students that attend and the students that get to experience with them. So I would be really interested in seeing some example policies. So you mentioned some other schools have them in place. So if you could provide one that, the board could then bring to the policy committee, I think that would be very helpful.
Yes, I can do that. I've actually sent one on to Scott Kendall, but I can get it to somebody else. I just know that like next year we're hosting a student, so we had to get an approval special for another student. So I just know that my family continues to enjoy having them. So I would just love for other families to be able to enjoy as well. So I'm just hoping that maybe there'll be a policy that we can at least have more than 2 in the future, because I think it's a great benefit for the kids. So I will send that on to you guys.
Yeah, or Scott, if you just want to forward that on, if you want to send it to me and I can send it out to the rest of the board.
Yes.
Lauren, you might be able to answer this question. Is it always juniors, always seniors, always anything, or it just depends on the program?
Depends on the program. Most of the time, they're juniors, sometimes seniors. Occasionally, they've been students who are, depending on the program, a little older, usually not younger.
I think we did have a sophomore when I was at Green Mountain for a while.
Our kids age from 14. Like that's the youngest they can be is 14. So they'll come in as like a sophomore.
Lauren, this is Pam O'Neill. I'm wondering, I can't get my hand to go up. I don't know if I could comment.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I think that the experience that we've had with EF has been wonderful. Some of the information with past programs that we've had, since there is no incoming financial piece of it, we were monitoring what the financial cost was, because we had some difficult situations with programs that were not local other than the Rotary. And I would certainly love to be attend a policy committee to look to help to have kind of the impact piece to be part of that, but would love to be able to continue our work with Candace and EF and increase students who come.
That's great.
And to Pam's point, that's sort of the reason we don't say as many as possible is that this works beautifully and it is a great benefit to everyone, except when it isn't. And you have to have some things in place for the possibility that it isn't.
And I can just speak on behalf as I'm a local coordinator, and I had a student at the beginning of this year who did not do very well at GM. And as a local coordinator, I can tell you that the student was moved and it was flawless. And I don't even think the school even knew there was a real problem. So EF is very, very, very involved and takes care of everything immediately. So it's a really great program. So I can say that as another piece when you're considering your stuff, that I was able to move my student right out of my home and he's moved on. And I don't even think half of GM even knew that he left. So.
Thank you. Okay. So we're going to the policy, we'll look at the policy that Candace provides, and I don't know if the people at the high school want to set up a committee to talk about this.
I think if the policy committee is going to discuss it, perhaps they would like to provide some input. And that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Okay. We're back to the budget.
Is there anything
to add? Okay. Policy secondary, do that.
We have two
policies. They should be in your packet.
Fiscal management and general financial accountability. Cheryl approved policy. And policy committee approved.
Yes, we did. We've already looked at these policies.
I move to approve policy E1 and G11.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Take to the future agenda.
Takes us to future agenda items. So, well, the one thing I want to add is board member comments.
Are you looking to add that as a permanent thing or as just for the next agenda, Lois?
No, I think is a permanent thing. Just, I mean, we don't necessarily have to comment, but I think the fact that Casey had this question and didn't know where to put it, we used to have it on our agenda.
Like the third or fourth item.
Yeah, and we don't have to use it, but it's nice that it's there so the board member can.
No, I don't disagree. I was just asking if it was like for the next agenda in particular, because that was primarily for that. So if you're looking to change or add something to the agenda, I think as a permanent thing, you'll probably need a vote.
Okay. All those in favor of adding, I need a motion.
I make a motion that we put that on the agenda, please.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of adding board member comments as an agenda item on a regular basis?
Aye.
For sure.
Great idea, Lois.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating that Katie Murphy and I will have had some discussion and potentially have a couple of ideas about a procedure that we could put in place for regular updates for the community. Love to put the potential for an action item there would be really helpful.
That's a really good idea.
That's a good idea. Okay.
And in thinking about the retreat this summer, which I won't be able to go to, I'm wondering if we could just have either at this meeting or maybe it would even be the next one, a plan for how that gets reported out. Like I do know at the last retreat, we had we're going to do this with the calendar and we're going to do this with like, there were a lot of ideas that came out of that. And I'm just wondering about some sort of report back for that to the whole board. So this would be.
I think
that's a plan.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think usually, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that usually the superintendent brings that information to the next board meetings.
At this meeting, there will be, even if you don't have a quorum, generally no specific action is taken. There's a lot of discussion and minutes are taken. Those minutes are either because somebody, Amber has been there or someone else is there who fills in that form, and then those are shared with everyone. And usually whoever was in attendance reports out at that August meeting, because we don't have a meeting otherwise in June.
Yeah, then I don't think that.
And I do think that the person who ran the meeting sent us.
Debbie Segeiser sends out and before that.
This is kind of what happened at the retreat. So as a member of the board, even if you're not at the retreat, you will receive that.
Yeah, then I guess this is more of a after retreat agenda item of how are we going to turn that into actionable items and who's taking responsibility for that.
Okay.
I like that.
That's a ways out there. So thank you.
The goals from last year, it's kind of been, the TRSU has been sort of keeping up with those. One of them is an administrative goal, not a board goal. And we will be reporting, the administration will report on that to the TRSU board at their June agenda. Everything else is a board goal that gets board report.
Anything else? Okay, so any more public comments? Thank you. The next meeting date is 6 o'clock on June 20th.
It's also, we didn't put it in, and should have, the informational meeting for the vote. will be happening on May 30th
May 30th.
here at 6 o'clock and on Zoom.
Have we made arrangements for, like, there to be somebody at Cavendish? We really would love to be able, I'm happy to go to Cavendish.
I'm moving that forward. It hasn't, the arrangements haven't been made yet.
Okay.
So, but I'm on it.
I would like to.
Okay. And then the next regular meeting is at 6 o'clock on June 20th.
Information.
And I need a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Thank you.
Seconded?
Any objections?